there was a lot of stigma around then, but it didn't seem to bother me a lot because I was in therapy and I thought it was a great thing to do and it helped me. So, I think now there's still a lot of stigma, and also depends obviously where you live. That's also important.
Awekenge, this is Mental Matters, hosted by Asego Toto.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Mental Matters. I'm your host, Asego Toto. And before we dive into today's incredible conversation, I have a small favor to ask. If you enjoy what you hear today, please take a moment to rate and review our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen. Your feedback not only helps us improve, but also helps others discover the valuable insights we share every week. And if you find today's episode particularly inspiring or insightful, don't forget to share it with your friends, family, or anyone you think could benefit from it. Thank you for your support. It truly means the world to us. Now, let's get back into our conversation.
How did you get into creative in terms of design?
I went to boarding school, and there was an art room. And I had a fantastic art teacher. I absolutely loved him. He was very tough on you, but he saw some talent in me. So he worked with me and he said, have you thought about going to art college? And at that time, I really didn't know what I wanted to do. I was 15 or 16 and I didn't know. And he said, I think you should try for art college. So he helped me put a portfolio together and for me to go for interviews to art college. And then I got into art college and then I studied graphic design. I did a foundation course for 1 year and then 3 years graphic design. And I think, my take on design and creativity, it's a little bit different. I mean, I really believe everyone is creative, but I think there is, people do think if you're an artist or a designer or a musician or a writer that you are creative. And if you're maybe working in law or a doctor or something else that isn't in the arts, maybe, people think they're not creative. But that is not true. Because creativity is about everything. So if you get up in the morning and make a decision what you're going to wear and what you're going to eat and how you're going to go to work and what route to take, and especially if people have children, they have to be creative all the time. But it's not acknowledged as creativity because it's not in the form of a song, a book, a painting, and that is why people think they're not creative. And it upsets me because I think if people would realize they're creative, they would do things differently. And I do think creativity can help you with mental health. It can help with everything.
In terms of actually, I think the fact that people, when people do such thing in terms of something that everyone is doing regularly, is not seen as you said, creative. But when they see someone writing a book, when someone is singing, when someone it's out there in front of the audience, they find that difficult. So they categorize it as a rare thing, whereas it's creativity. And also
Exactly. But also, do you not find that I think as children, we are all creative?
Definitely.
If you watch children, they have great imagination. They make things out of nothing. They build tents out of cushions and blankets and so creative. But then as you grow up, things happen, don't they? People say, why did you do this like that? Why did you draw with blue instead of red? It's not realistic. And then people start thinking, oh my God, I better not do anything because I'm not good at this. This is for creative people. I should not draw because this is for creative people who are drawing, who are illustrating. So I think there's a mismatch. I do think as children, we all have incredible imagination. And of course, I'm not saying that there isn't a difference between, sort of the usual person and maybe somebody like Picasso. Of course, there are very, very extraordinarily talented people, and they are much more talented than maybe you and I or other people as well. And that's true. But we don't all have to be Picasso. I'm not a Picasso, so I don't know. Maybe Picasso had mental health issues and we don't know about it. It's not being written about.
Actually, it's something that people that I've seen upon myself in terms of what I've realized that after I had some difficulties with mental health per se, had also had a childhood traumatic event that happened upon me. And after that, I decided to write a book. And mind you that I didn't even know how to write a book, how to structure it, how to do those things. And in a way, me writing a lot of poems, in a way, helped me with my mental well-being. At the same time, not knowing that at some point, as people that are suffering from mental health, in a way, if you're going through depression, going through anxiety, you do things that you express your words within paper. And at some point, you don't realize that this thing that you are creating, someone could relate to it. Someone could find healing within it. So I agree with you. And in a way, I feel like, in a way, we need to redefine the word creativity, because we have been stuck with this word. We have been told this word and never ask upon it. What if I do this? Am I creative? So as you've said that no matter where you are in your field, you are creative. So it's something that we as individuals, we need to question and try by any means to change the narrative around it. And in a way, and also, I just want, how has creativity helped you mentally?
Well, I had a nervous breakdown when I was 26. So I'd already been to art college and I'd already had jobs, and then sort of my world collapsed around me, and I found myself a little bit, nearly housebound. I definitely couldn't work. I suffered from panic attacks. I had claustrophobia. I had agoraphobia. So I think for me, I was maybe lucky because I'd gone through art college. And so I immediately made myself as a project. So instead of doing a project for something else, you're sort of inventing something or doing something, I made myself the project, and I thought, what do I need to get better? What do I need to heal? And so I realized that I would like to work in some ways or help people in some ways. So I remember actually I wanted to, back then we had, landlines, normal telephones. It was pre-mobile phone, right? So there used to be helplines on the phone, like there is now as well. But back then, that's all it was. And I wanted to help people with panic attacks or people that were struggling. And one organization, in order to be somebody who can do that on the phone, I had to go through a 6-week training course on the phone, because it was pre-internet and everything else. It was a listening call. I mean, it was one of the most useful, impactful, and brilliant courses I have ever gone through. And it taught me how to be a good listener. I mean, what a great, I believe now it should be mandatory for everyone. I think it's a really important skill to have in life, to be a good listener. And so I did that, and I then volunteered, and I enjoyed that very much. It gave me back some sort of confidence that I had lost, And then I started looking. I went into therapy because I realized that would help me. And I also looked at maybe getting a massage and things like that to help me in my body. And I taught myself how to eat. I read everything I could find on nutrition because I kind of believed there was a link. And I think I came about a book. It was something like an anxiety workbook, and it talked about that you have to tackle different areas. It's not just one area. You have to look at what you're consuming, in terms of food and drinks, and and then do therapy because that's good for. It was talking therapy, but I also did body therapy. So yeah, I think that's to do with creativity. I made a little mind map and. I kind of looked at what would help me. So I think that's what helped me, that I could creatively think around a project. And the project was me. How do I problem solve something else? Because before that I was working, I had quite a high powered job actually. And now I applied that to myself, I suppose.
And I just want to touch going back to in terms of helplines, and it's something that people nowadays. It's something that, let me just talk about young people as myself in terms of seeing mental health. How in terms of helplines. I wouldn't lie, I never tried reaching out in terms of helplines because it is something that has been demonized in a way of some people were saying definitely single on the over the internet, saying that now when you call, people there are rude, they can't help you precisely in terms of that. Would you say that, in your perspective, as someone that has been trying to create a new strategy in terms of trying to help people, would you say that compared to back then and now, would you say that it has, in a way, downgraded or upgraded?
Well, I can tell you that I'm doing helplines even now. So I have never come across, but I am in the UK. I've never come across a helpline where people don't want to help. That's why they're on a helpline, or that's why they volunteer. I mean, I've always volunteered. I've never paid for it, but I've never come across a helpline here that I had anything to do with that wasn't purely there to help people that are calling up. I mean, now you have texting and all sorts of things, but so I can't talk for any other country. I think helplines are so wonderful and so helpful, and they can often prevent suicide, which is something I'm quite passionate about. I know you are passionate about that. I mean, you're right. It's important to know who to talk to, of course. That's half the battle. But any reputable helpline will be listening and hopefully doing the right thing, which is maybe helping or at least talking. And so, yeah, I'm surprised to hear that, what you're saying. But
I feel like in a way it is this thing of being a country not adapting within the norms all around the world. For example, I've seen UK has in a way really in the mental health field in terms of try by any means to cater for its citizens in terms of taking care of their mental health. Because I've seen somewhere I tried doing a course, and apparently if you're from UK, you can do it for free apparently. So it's something that I applaud it for. And also, compared to other places, I would say that it's quite difficult in getting into the field of mental health in terms of being a psychologist, being a counselor is really hard in a way of it's costly, and most people have, let's say for myself, I've tried applying for it, but didn't have luck. But in the near future, I'm planning on trying again. Hopefully I would get in terms of, as much as